John Kelly back again for the fifth part of our tutorial series about using WordPress. And we left off last time talking about the page editor, which is where we are right now. I had a bunch of content that I pasted in here, talked about the proper ways of copying and pasting. I'm going to show you an example of that again, because it is this important as how many people will actually get this messed up when they work with WordPress. One of the things I want you to remember is that this editor is something that converts whatever you type in here into what's called HTML, or code that a browser can read and display. It does a pretty decent job, but keep in mind, this is not like using your email program, or it's not like using Word where it's very robust. This is not very robust. It gets the job done, but it needs a little bit of work and a little understanding to truly understand what's going on. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you again about copying and pasting. So for example, if I were to go to my website and I go to my About Us page and I want to bring this content over, let's say, and put it on our demo site, what I would do is probably take this content here that I see, highlight it, and I'm going to copy it, or Control C, whichever you do. I'll go back to my page here, and remember that I told you when you paste, you're better off going to the HTML editor and pasting it directly in there, because it'll strip all the formatting out of it. That is correct. Well, let me just show you again what happens if I go to the visual side. So I go to Visual and I paste it just like most people would do, and of course it brought over the formatting. It shows that they even brought the link over, okay, which is fine. But here's the problem. When I go and preview this change now, look what it did. You're saying, well, it looks alright, or does it? Yeah, well, it made the link, it brought the bold over, but the column seems kind of narrow, doesn't it? Especially when I know that my actual column is about that wide, where you see the red. So it's not filling out the whole space. Why? Because it brought formatting over that you can't see. Okay, so how would you know that? Well, if you clicked on the HTML tab again, guess what we got? We got some stuff. A div, div, stands for division. It's the opening tag of a container. Okay, so it brought that over. Now you can see that there is the divisions beginning and end here. Okay, so that's not what I want. So rather than trying to go in there and clean all that up, here's what I want you to do. Remember, just click on HTML. You have a blank canvas. You can copy whatever you want and bring it over. It's going to strip everything out of it and just put plain old text in there, just like that, including the link. The link will not copy over either. So now I go back to the visual side, and when I go and preview this, there you go. Now you can see the effects of what happens when you don't copy and paste properly into your editor. Okay, so this is all plain text, but now I have to recreate the link down here and make that bold and all that stuff. So that's not a problem. We can do that, and let's show you how. Okay, first let's do the link. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the bottom of the page, bottom of the editor. And by the way, you can take this editor if it's too small. Sometimes it's like that when you're looking at it. You can take the bottom of this, right in the bottom corner here where you see some diagonal lines, move your mouse over until it has a diagonal arrow, click and hold, and drag that open, and that'll make it easier for you to work in this window. Should have told you that earlier, sorry. Now, contact us today. That was a link. Well, here's how I make a link. If I want those three words right there to be a link, I just highlight them. So in other words, I click and hold and drag, highlight them with my mouse. And up here in the menu, you'll see a little chain link. It says edit or insert a link. So when I click on that, it's going to ask me enter the destination URL. And remember what a URL is. That's a web address. Okay, so what I can do is I can go to that place that I got the link from. I can click on that, see where it takes me. Okay, it takes me to this page. Well, this is the URL up here. So all I have to do is copy that and paste it. And there we go. Now, title simply means that's when you move your mouse over the little button there and a little box pops up telling you what it is. Okay, so what we can do is describe what that link is. Now there's another button here. Do I want this, when somebody clicks on the link, do I want this to open up a new browser tab? That's up to you. Okay, so if you're linking to an external source, I would recommend that. If you're keeping them within your website, I probably wouldn't do that. In this case, it's going to go to an external part of my website, so I'm going to say open in a new tab. And then I click on add link. It's done. Notice it's underlined. Notice it has the hover effect and everything. Now if you remember, the other thing I had there was that this was bold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the part that I want bold, click bold, and remember on the HTML side, what does that do? It puts the beginning strong and the end strong before and after it. Okay. Another little HTML tip here for you. So you didn't know you were going to learn HTML, did you? But you know what? HTML is actually, the basics of HTML are very simple. Again, anything between greater than and less than symbols is code. A is actually the indicator of a link. And when a link ends, it's got a slash, a closing slash, and an A. So again, strong, closing slash, and a strong. So that's how it works. You open a tag and then you close it, and that's how HTML works. Okay, so back to the visual editor. So you can see I made all that bold. So when I go and I preview my change again, and I go back and look at the About Us page, and it looks a lot like what I had, doesn't it? Now the rest is easy. I can go on here, you know, in the editor, and I can change whatever I want. I can make more links. I can, you know, make things bold, highlight things, etc., etc. So there's lots of stuff in there that I can do that's right here in the basic editor. Now there are some features that when we make a blog post that we're going to talk about, and that's called making a page split, where it just shows you a little excerpt, and then you can click on it. It's like a read more link where you can click on it and it'll take you to the rest of the article, but we'll do that later. You do have a spell checker, or I'm sorry, you have a language, but you do have a spell checker built into the editor itself. As you can see, it will underline things and tell you. Don't count on it because it doesn't have every word. Obviously, it's not the greatest spell checker. So for the most part, that's what you have as far as adding basic content. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to add a picture of myself on this page. So let's talk about that. So to do so, what I want to do is move my mouse over the top of these buttons up here, and you're going to see 4 little buttons up here. It says upload or insert, and when I move my mouse over the first little picture frame there, it says add an image. The next one says add a video, the next one obviously says add audio, and the other one is add media. Well, in this case I can simply add an image. All I have to do is pick a spot on my page where I would want this. So if I go and preview this, what it would look like when it's live again, maybe I want my picture to appear over here off to the right. Okay, well, just so you know, in WordPress, when you insert a picture, you can center it, which will mean text will be in the center of the page, and all text will be above it or below it. You can float it or move it off to the right or move it off to the left, and the text will scroll around it to the right or to the left. So when I go back into my editor, I'm going to find the place that I want to put the picture, and I'll put it, I want it to start over here, but I don't want it to put it here because it'll put it in the middle of my sentence. So what I want to do is either put it before or after this paragraph. So I'm going to put it before the paragraph, see how it looks. So I click here, I'm going to go up here, I'm going to add an image, and when I do that, it opens up a box that says, well, where do you want to get your image from? Well, if you already have it in your media library, you're going to see that up here. Okay, right now there's nothing in here though. Okay, if I wanted to take it from another web address, I can get it from there. Let me caution you, if you see a nice picture on another website, don't go steal the link to that image and put it in here, because chances are eventually that link will break. Okay, and secondly, you're stealing the image from somebody. That's violating copyright law, so don't do that. What you want to do is get the image, put it on your computer, select the image from your computer, and let's just say I put me up here. That's me. Not the greatest picture, but it'll work. And now the title of it's called Headshot, but we can give it a name. I can call it me. Now when I add that image, it's just going to put it in there, and that's it. And it'll show you the dimensions of the image when you upload it. And here's the other thing. Sometimes your images are really, really big. Well, what you need to do is scale them down. And remember that the average browser window, you should try to keep things under 1200 pixels in height and width for the average browser. Now, a lot of screen resolutions are much larger now, but what will happen is the picture will be way too big. So if you need to size down your image, you can do that by clicking here on Edit Image, and you can go up here where it says not crop, but scale your image, and you can change its dimensions to whatever you want, and just click on scale. But if you don't need to do that, then don't worry about it, just hit cancel. Alright, now if I wanted to give this a caption, all I do is take my title and put my name there, and the description is not really used, so don't worry about that. And the next thing it's going to ask for, well, do you want this picture to be a link to something? Well, what WordPress does by default is it puts the link in here, it puts the URL of the exact address where the picture is going to be stored on your website right here. Okay, if you don't want the picture to be clickable to anything, just click none, and it goes away. If you don't want it to be any kind of link whatsoever. If you want that picture to click to another page or somewhere else, go copy that URL wherever it is and paste it in there, and that's how you would do that. But again, if you don't want a link, just click none, and that'll get rid of that. If I wanted that picture to open up, then I click File URL, which is what it defaults to, and it'll open that picture. Alright, now alignment, obviously I want this thing to go to my right. And what size do I want it to be? Well, I'll put it in there as medium size for now, and then I'll just click Insert into Post. Alright, now put the picture in there. Yeah, it's kind of large, so let's go preview it. Picture's kind of big. I don't really like it all that much, so I'm probably not going to use it like that. So what I'm going to do is make it a little smaller, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So all I have to do from here is click on the image. If you notice, it makes a delete symbol, or this one, edit the image. I click on edit the image, it opens it back up. It looks a little different than what you used before, but notice one of the things I can do. I can take my mouse and I can just move my mouse up or down, and I can change the size of that image automatically. Alright, so maybe I want to drop it down to about that size there. That looks good. And then from there, all I do is go down and click on Update. Okay, that looks more manageable. So I preview my changes. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, so now when I click on that image, what does it do? Well, remember I made it a link, so it just opened up the image. Now, there is an effect that we can add to it that opens it up into a light box where everything goes black or gray around it. That's a light box effect, so that's not installed here, but it's usually a common feature that's on a website. But as you can see, I gave it a caption, and just by giving it a caption, it also gave it a border, which is adjustable within the theme itself. It's not something you can do from the admin panel, but it gives it this color and all that stuff. There are some themes out there that you can buy that have a lot of custom features in it, but they're premium themes. Okay, so that's done with. And so what we learned here was, once again, how to copy over and paste your content, and in this case also how to insert and edit an image. Now another thing too, if I wanted to move this image around, I can do that. I can center it, again puts the content above it or below it, or I can left align it. If I click none, it's going to default to the left align, and everything will go below it or above it, whichever case may be. Okay, so you want a left or right or a center, one or the other. Okay, if you have a bunch of images, I suggest you float. If you want them all to be side by side, align them all to the left or align them all to the right, one at a time, and it'll stack up all the images for you side to side. So if I click update now, you notice that it moves it over there to the right. So when I preview my change, you can see now that the image is over here off to the right. Okay, so now when I click on update, I just publish my page. When I go and look at my page, I click on view page, and it looks just like my preview, and this is now live to the public. Okay, so that's going to end it here as far as page editing. When we come back, we're going to talk a couple more things about the pages, and then we're going to move on to some more stuff. So Stay tuned again.